morning. Bom dia. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me here. Lisbon is one of my favorite cities for its many unique features. The ceramics, the tiles, the mix with antique and modern art design. The food, bacalhau, the people for its warmth and kindness. So it's always a pleasure to be here. But I'm not here to talk about Lisbon. I'm here to talk actually about another country, my own. So when they asked me to talk about Accelerators Tropicalism, I was wondering if I should focus on the geographical aspect of tropical, or if I should actually focus, being a little bit more crazy on Tropicalism, which was a cultural movement that happened in Brazil around the 60s. So I decided to talk about both. So let's start with tropical. I'm going to talk about one country that I'm particularly fond of. Here. So in Brazil, there are a lot of stereotypes that probably most of you know. Well, we have Copacabana Beach. We have another 7,000 kilometers of beach, as a matter of fact. We love football. We might win the World Cup next year. We love samba. Actually, Carnival is probably more important than Christmas. We invented caipirinhas, and I guess 93.7% of the Victoria's Secret models come from Brazil. Yes, we have bananas as well, as Carmen Miranda would have said. But it's just so much more than that. Actually, it's a home for 200 million people, and that come from diverse backgrounds and have different tastes and have so many different aspects to it. So actually, it is a social melting pot, as you can find a huge Lebanese community in Brazil, probably more Lebanese people in Brazil than in Lebanon, the Japanese community, the Italian community, German community. There is samba, but there is bossa nova, axé, sertanejo, and so many other musical rhythms. There are people from different backgrounds, colors, purchasing power. We now have a different social situation arising. We have inequality for sure, but we now have a new middle class. We have people that, more than 30 million people that are now arriving to this new Brazilian middle class with different type of purchasing power. So as any other emerging country, people like to show off. So people, when they get rich, they like to buy things. So they like to buy LED TVs, they want to buy nice cars, they want to show their bags, their jewelry. So this is happening also with the new people that are getting rich in the country as well. They want to buy, they want to consume good things and products as well. But as well, they want to learn, they are more educated, and so on and so forth. Regarding mobile usage, this is one curious aspect. We have now over 270 million mobile phones, mobile users, and that's more than our population. And an interesting figure is that people used to buy more than one cell phone, particularly middle-class people. And that's because we have 4 different operators in Brazil. So it's cheaper if you talk from one operator to another. It's cheaper to do that. So why not have one from each operator so that you can speak to people in different in a cheaper way. And what the handset companies, producers, decided to do, which is very clever, and it's about observing natural behavior, is building cell phones that actually come with the device to put 4 different chips on it. So you don't need to buy 4 different handsets. You can buy one and put your different SIM cards in it. So that's interesting. And also in terms of smartphones, we have over 70 million now smartphones in the country, and that is increasingly every year, and exponential, and it's becoming cheaper and cheaper with handsets. So the new middle class, they can now be able to buy those phones, and there are already 100 million people in that situation. So you can imagine that the number of smartphones will soon be pretty big. In terms of curious habits as well. Well, Brazil, the rest of the world sees us as Latin America. This puts all the countries together. And Brazilians see themselves as a big island inside Latin America. So they are not exchanging so much with their neighbor countries as one would have imagined, and as what we think that could be, the natural habit, sorry. Another curious habit from the population is that people tend to stay in their parents' house until they get married. So it's not, people are getting married older and older, so it's not uncommon to see, 30-year-old people living with their parents. That means that a 30-year-old man, they can't cook, they can't clean, they can't tie their shoes, so it's a problem when they get married sometimes. Well, with all this diversity that you see in the country and all this chaos, as a matter of fact, this diversity and chaos brings normally to revolutions. So in the 60s, there was a movement that was a cultural movement, a cultural revolution, but more specifically, a music revolution that was called the Tropicalism. And the main reason behind it was actually, to fight the imperialism of bossa nova, to actually bring different mixes and aspects into the music to show the world, even incorporating international aspects as well, to show the world this whole, popular movement that existed apart from bossa nova. But the message here goes way beyond music. It's actually, fighting old paradigms, innovating, changing the status quo. So here are some examples of messages that actually came from this movement. And I guess what the accelerators are doing now, and I mean it in a broad sense, globally, it's actually incorporating these messages to the world. They're actually changing what was old behaviors. They're breaking old rules, introducing new concepts to the world, giving voice and space to young entrepreneurs to actually change their future and to do something different, something they believe in. And especially in Brazil or in the tropics, introducing the culture of failure that is already popular in the US, but not so much in Brazil, for instance, where it's not accepted to fail. So I guess it's the role of the accelerators to actually introduce that and make it okay and create a safe space where people are actually they can fail, and they can redirect their products and business to adjust to their consumers. So what we've been doing in Papaya is actually, we're mixing both the concepts, the tropical ones, because yes, we are looking inside our own markets. We bring solutions to the Brazilian markets first before moving it outside. And we like to think that we're also innovating in some way with a structured program. So we'd like to think that we're bringing order for progress, so having actually a structured program that will enable results and traction for the startups. Introducing new concepts to the program, including design thinking and user experience. That are the concepts that actually are the pillars of our program of acceleration. So design thinking is actually, we've seen how it's important and how every country has its own people and behavior and habits. So it's important when you're building something for someone that you actually understand exactly how they feel and how they behave, and not only think that you know what they do. So the design thinking concept and all its methodology actually helps you to apply correctly techniques to actually get to know these people. So observe, how they behave, interact with them, talk to them, ask the right questions to see how they behave, actually become your client so that you actually build something that is actually appropriate for them. The second concept is user experience. Is actually, we believe that we build experience for people and not only product. It's the whole experience that matters. So building the correct interface will actually generate a more satisfying product in the end. Another thing that we defend is that we build products that are actually one single function product that that solves one problem in a very good way. And there is no need, so when you're launching something and you're building it with your consumer, with your customer, you should have to put the product out there. And this concept that I'm telling you is nothing that we invented. We are just bringing concepts that are widespread, especially in the US. But you shouldn't reinvent anything. You actually can, there's so many things out there, so many things that you can borrow to your own product, and then you're going to build it with the customer feedback. So launch something with the minimal viable features, and then actually you improve it with your consumer feedback. And by doing that, and to launch it quickly to the market, you can steal what already exists and is already ready for you. Another thing that an accelerator has to do, and it's part of its core business, is actually having a few networks around them. So investor networks, a good mentor network, the academic mentor, the public sector network. So it's actually for the entrepreneurs to take advantage and to tap into these networks and actually make the best out of it. Well, this is our house in Botafogo. We welcome you, we'll all in Rio. And if you want to take a look as well on our Facebook page, you'll see a little bit of, get a little glimpse of what we've been doing in Papaya Ventures in Rio. Thank you very much.
We have time for questions, so I suggest you take 1 or 2 minutes to do some questions to Luisa.
We actually had this conversation over dinner. I asked, how does your community in Brazil work with other communities around Latin America, and what are the challenges?
Yes, I guess this is opening more and more. We've been collaborating with other Latin American events, so also sending some of our startups to pitch for in other countries in Latin America, but it's still far from the ideal, actually. We're very much Brazil-centered, and when we look at outside, we tend to look at the US, at Silicon Valley, New York, and also to Europe, in a way, and we forget to look at the side with, to countries that, okay, they don't speak the same language, and maybe that's one of the reasons, but there's so many similarities, in terms of development, in terms of the economy, that would make sense, to share much more with our neighboring countries, but it's still not ideal.
Hi. What are the requirements for getting into the program in broad lines?
So we have a 6-month program. We run a selection process every 6 months. We are thematic, so every cycle we have a specific theme. So the startup must be aligned with the theme, and we also ask for complete teams. So teams that has the business people, the designer, the developer. It's not easy to find, all of these team members nowadays, and we believe that they'll get so much more from the program, And for all the concepts that that we deal during the program, that it's required to have a complete team.